Module 2. Introduction to Crude Palm Oil Futures. What is FCPO? All futures contracts will have their own specifications. Let's look at one of the specification, the contract months. For FCPO, there will be a total of 24 contract months, which are the spot month and the next 11 succeeding months, and thereafter alternate months up to 36 months ahead. For example, if we are in January 2019, we can trade starting from January 2019 up to November 2021. As a guide, this would be the complete list of available FCPO contract months that will be available for trading. Now let's look at what is margin. Margin is a deposit that will enable a person to do a transaction in the futures market. The amount will vary depending on the market conditions. Where can you find the latest margin rates? You can always refer to the Bursa Malaysia website for the announcement of the latest margin rates. Alright, let's see how margin is calculated. On day 1, the trader deposited 4,500 ringgit as margin to buy one FCPO contract at the price of 2,000. At the end of the day, the FCPO price settled at 2,018. Therefore, the gross profit at the end of the day is 450 ringgit per contract. So, the total cash position of day 1 is 4,950 ringgit, and the trader decides to hold his position until the next day. On day 2, we now have 4,950 ringgit in the account with one FCPO contract. The FCPO price went up to 2,028, and the trader decides to take a profit. By closing his position, he makes an additional profit of 250 ringgit on day 2. So, the total cash balance for day 2 is 5,200 ringgit. Let's do another example on margin calculation if the market declines. On day 1, the trader deposited 4,500 ringgit as margin to buy one FCPO contract at the price of 2,000. At the end of the day, the FCPO price settled at 2,018. Therefore, the gross profit at the end of the day is 450 ringgit per contract. So, the total cash position of day 1 is 4,950 ringgit, and the trader decides to hold his position until the next day. On day 2, the trader is still holding the same FCPO contract. However, the price dropped to 1,964 ringgit. He then decides to sell and close out his FCPO position. By closing his position, he incurred a loss of 1,350 ringgit on day 2. So, the total cash balance for day 2 is 3,600 ringgit. Should the trader decide to trade again, he would need to add more cash to meet the margin requirements of 4,500 ringgit. So, when can you trade FCPO? It is tradable from Mondays to Fridays except Kuala Lumpur public holidays. FCPO has 2 trading sessions. The first session is from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., followed by the second session from 2:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. This is the end of Module 2.